Hey guys, Richard from Nova Hobbies back here again for you with a new unboxing video. This one is slightly different. This is an old school resin, a cast resin kit from Starcrafts. This is the 1400 scale Valdore model of Starcrafts. This is a beautiful big resin model. I've actually built a few of these. I've built 3 Valdore models in the past, 2 of which are these Starcrafts models, and I've even built the old original Ravenstar Valdore kit many years ago. But that's not available anymore. The Starcrafts kit is the only one that's available in 1400 scale. I do believe there's a 2500 scale Valdore model available as well, but I'm not 100% certain if that's still out. But let's dig into this right here because this is a beautiful ship. I've already got one built up on my personal display. We're going to show that to you later on. This can be built. This is set up for lighting. Starcrafts made it specifically so that you can light this up, and it looks fantastic when it does. You can also build it without the lighting. It still looks beautiful without, but if you've got the time and the energy and you want to try your hand at it, I highly recommend trying this model as a lit model. So let's get into this here. First of all, what do we have? Starcrafts loves to do their box art, and thankfully he didn't glue it to the outside of the box here. It was just on the top of the box. And these are, I love Starcrafts box arts, so I know it sounds geeky, but I collect them. So Starcrafts 1 to 1400 scale, 26-inch wingspan Valdore. 25 resin parts, tons of raised detail, and he gives you a huge 12 to 15 page assembly manual. It's not a quick sheet, and it's very detailed. He actually takes you step by step throughout the construction process. He gives you painting tips of what he used to make his. I actually really recommend using this. I've used this for all of my Valdore builds in the past, and it comes out absolutely fantastic if you follow his directions here for his painting. And he goes, like I said, it's a very detailed instruction manual. He goes into all of the little bits about how to light the model step by step. Even if you've never built a resin model before, I wouldn't recommend this being your very first resin kit. However, if this is the first time you've ever tried to light a resin model, if you've done a couple resin kits in the past, I would go ahead and, I would say that this would be a good one. These panels are pre-wired, which makes things so much easier. I'll show that to you in a little bit. We're going to go through and dig everything out of the box so you can take a look. But yes, this is like I said, 12 to 15 page instruction manual. Very detailed. He goes over everything, and if you've only built a couple resin models, if you just follow this step by step, you're going to come out with a very pretty Valdore model. So let's dig in a little bit farther and see what we can get into here. Here we have, these are the lower wings of the Valdore. If you remember, the Valdore has big upper wings, and underneath it has these support wings. These are pre-wired. You can see that the wires are actually cast into the resin itself, and because this is going to go out to the warp nacelle. And you've got 2 of these lower wings here. You have 2 of these. These are the external lower wings, and they're cast in a tougher black resin. These you still have to be careful about warping because the resin is thin, but this tougher resin is much less prone to warping. So this is really nice that he did the outer pods in this. And again, you'll see here that the lighting is actually, or the wiring is actually precast into these parts, which again helps an absolute ton. Now here is the bottom hull. You can see here it's cast in a translucent, almost clear resin. It makes it kind of hard to see the detail on here. Let's see if I can get in a little bit. But this is all raised detail along here. It's very finely detailed. It's beautiful. And he cast these in clear because there's sections here, along here, and here that are lit up in big glowing green, and sections along back here which have window portholes that you have to drill through. And you have a couple. These are the upper engine pods. Same thing here. These are cast in the opaque or in the translucent resin, because you're going to have this glowing through here, and these little power nodules here will be glowing as well. The nacelles are these huge, long, thin things here. Where's the other one? I got one. There it is. And you'll follow through in the instructions. You'll see that you have to drill out a little bit more here. This is where these parts here will connect. And so in order to fit an LED strip in there, LED strips have gotten much narrower, thank goodness, from when this model was originally put out. So you'll be able to easily fit an LED strip into here. You could even use a cob LED strip, a COB LED strip. But I would still recommend drilling that out a little bit, because you have to push the lighting forward and aft so that it catches all of the glowing bits back here and along here. And again, that's all in the instructions, but you can see the detail on here. Again, all raised detail. It's a little hard to see with the translucent resin, but once you get that in a coat of primer, all those details pop. And then when you put in your green base coat and then you do your oil wash over it, I'll show that to you at the end of this video. It really does make it look amazing. So here we have the head of the ship, and he kept it rubber band shut so it stays tight and it doesn't deform. This translucent resin does tend to deform a little bit more than regular resin does. So I think that's why he had that rubber banded, so that these two pieces stay nice and flush together the way they're supposed to. But you'll see tons of window detail along here. More detail like that along this bottom side here, and again, just absolutely loaded with raised vinyl applique patterns there. Let's see. Let me zip that back up. There we go. You got a plastic bag filled with some of the smaller pieces here. There's the underpods, the neck, which is clear, and the neck is clear because you have a ton of windows along either side of the lower neck. Here is the very bottom pod, and this is actually where you're going to be drilling your mount for your stand. And we're actually getting down. This is not a very complex model. There's a lot of big pieces to it. Here's one of the wings. Here's the main body. Here's another wing. And I think that's pretty much it. Let's just do a quick check. Yeah, all right, I think that's about it. So these are opaque pieces because nothing needs to be lit up with it, and at least with that, it means that you can really get in here and you can get a good idea of how wildly detailed this is. Lots of raised and recessed panels and patterns. Same thing with the bottom here. We are missing a couple pieces, and I know they're in here. Let me see if I can dig them out. Hold on a second. There they are. Yes, okay. These are the impulse engines. And they go underneath these wings, these clear impulse engines. They fit underneath here like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to drill a little extra hole, because these wings connect essentially like so, and you're going to drill a little pathway between these two things here to connect these wires together, and then you're going to drill an extra pathway out over here where you will run your LED. You'll hide your LEDs right in here so that those engines here will glow out nice and beautifully. And again, I've actually done all of this and documented all of this in a few blog posts, and I will provide a link to the blog post in the comments below. But yeah, so these are the wings, and you can see, I mean, I've got fairly large hands, and these wings are pretty massive. The main body, same thing, just riddled with all kinds of pattern and detail here. And he did all this by using vinyl applique. These are all vinyl cutout on the master, on the model master. These were done with vinyl cutouts that were applied to create all of this raised detail. So each one of these is essentially a hand-applied piece. So I'm sure it took hundreds of hours to get this done. And these, you see how this is, there's no detail on here. That's because that's where these pieces fit in. And the same thing, like you will drill a tiny little hole right back here where it's not visible to run a single set of wires so that you can run a couple LEDs to light this up and light this up right over here. And so that's how those are going to look, like so. And these big, big wings turn this thing into a veritable beast. Absolutely huge. I can't even fit this all on camera frame very well. There we go. Just to give you a slightly better idea, let's see if we can... The head attaches to the upper neck just by slotting in place like that. And I'm going to very, very carefully let that sit there. And hopefully it'll stay there while I do this. There you go. So you get an idea of how monstrous this model is. It really is. It's a beautiful, beautiful kit. It's huge. And it takes a long time to build this model. This isn't something that you slap together real fast. It does take last one I did took about 4 months, 4.5 or 5 months really, which was a commission piece for a friend, and he loved it. This is the lower hull, and it slots in. It's a little bit difficult to fit. Well, this one's not going to fit because I have to do a lot of sanding to get it to fit. But it's going to fit in like so. And then there's a lower boom, a lower neck piece that connects between here and the head. So it'll look somewhat like that with a lower section of neck right down here. So, not going to be doing this one anytime soon, but I'll probably be working on this one. Might be doing this as a commission piece later on this year. Not 100% certain, but I'm really, really happy to have another one of these in the stash, so that if anybody asks for one, it'll be right and ready to go, which is nice. It is a beautiful, beautiful, detailed and time-consuming model. And when you're done with all of this, if you'll pardon me for a second here, we are going to pause for a moment. And just like that, we've got that cleaned up. And let me show you what this model looks like when she's all done. There is the Valdore, painted up, weathered up. I used the base coat that Starcrafts recommends, along with a deep green oil paint, which you apply over the base coat, and then you just start gently rubbing down to remove layers of the oil and have layers of the base coat show up. And then I weather the model using Tamiya pastel weathering kits. And that is one big, big, beautiful model. And what you can do, if you'll bear with me just a moment, you can see that I have it mounted on the stand here. And because it's such a large model and heavy, I didn't want to risk using the stand as the power source as well. So I have the power lines coming out, the power mains coming out right behind. That's my personal choice. I do know that some people have tried to mount this using a plug directly into the mounting hole here. That does work, but for something this heavy, I don't know if I would trust it long term. I'm not sure if I would be too thrilled if that broke off on the inside. And I haven't checked these batteries in a while, so hopefully they work. We're going to find out. I've got it running off of 12 volts. There. And you can see everything that's lit up with this particular model. All of the windows along the neck here, all of the windows underneath the brow ridge. You can see them all along here. These are green windows. Don't know why these are white and these are green, but that's just the way it is in the movie. And you can get a closer look at everything there that's lit up. The warp nacelles. You can see these large glowing green strips that I was talking about earlier. Let's see if I can get a little bit of a focus in on that. Yeah. And while I didn't do it with mine, I did do it with the commission I recently finished. You can drill out all of this right here and here for there's back windows that need to belong here too. And I could actually still do this because this part right here is clear. This part is opaque, but I was still able to drill through the opaque thick resin and put fiber optics and get all of that lit up as well. Just didn't do it for this model. The second one that I did, the second Starcrafts model I did include that. And this is a little dusty. You'll have to forgive me, I'm sorry. I wasn't planning on taking this down, and then I thought, well, what the heck, might as well. So, yeah, that is the Starcrafts 1400 scale Valdore. Big, beautiful model. You can see there's the impulse engines lit up in the back there on both sides. And it is available directly from Starcrafts. If you just email him, I'll provide that in the description as well. It's not a cheap kit, but boy, is it a beautiful one. Definitely worth the time to invest in lighting it. And if you can pick one up, even if you're worried that your skills won't do it justice just yet, go ahead and pick one up, have it in your stash, so that when you're ready, it'll be there. And it is a fantastic model. And just to give you a sense of scale, for anybody who has the 1400 scale Akira model, I can just sort of tuck that down here. That's not a small model on its own. That's a fairly big model. But compared to the Valdore, that ain't nothing. So, give you an idea of the scale. That's about it. I was just doing a real quick review. Wanted to do an out-of-box so that people who maybe haven't seen this model can get a closer look at the parts and just my overview of it. It is a great model to build. Take your time on it. But it turns out into basically a museum quality piece. Thanks a lot. Thanks for looking, and I hope everybody has a happy night and happy modeling.